Hello again. There's a new group of people in our workplaces. They're bright, have an education that some of us can only dream about, and if you listen to their parents' generation, of which I'm a member, they're variously described as having a short attention span, an overgrown sense of entitlement, and a lack of interpersonal skills. And if that's not enough, my generation also sees this group as being constantly on their phone and in a regular and ongoing search for instant gratification. I refer, of course, to the people we call Millennials, people who are, as of today, under the age of 35. A group I call Generation F, not for the reason you might be thinking. I refer to them as the Facebook generation. I first became interested in Generation F because I'm a parent with a couple of them. As they started graduating, I was listening to them talking about their jobs, and I took notice of what met their expectations and what didn't. That interest then grew through my conference speaking work, where young people come up to me after my presentations and say things like, "Hey, that was really good. Do you think you can get that message to our bosses?" And so on. So I started talking to the bosses, and sure enough, the gulf between what our millennials think and what we think is about as wide as it's possible to be. And as a result, I now regularly run sessions that I call 30 under 30. The idea is that we assemble a group of bright young things in a room without any of their bosses in sight. And we talk to them about the stuff that they want to talk about within the business. So we talk about all sorts of things. What they know of the company plan and their role within that. The things that they see that we, their bosses, people of our age, don't see, and so on. We ask about their induction process to the company. That usually gets a few laughs. And the challenges that they see for the business and the opportunities that they see for the business, which are often very different to what we see. What we learn in a morning is usually enough to completely rewrite the company business plan, if they have one, and it's enabled me to build a fascination with the mutual management challenges of us managing them and them managing us. So here are 3 things for all of us to understand as we work alongside and in many cases attempt to lead this most unique group of individuals. Firstly, we created them. We drove them to school. In many cases, we carried their bag to the classroom. We gave them a mobile phone as soon as they could hold one so they could call us if they needed to. In other words, we gave them a level of attention and support that previous generations, including our own, would find totally foreign. And yet today we wonder why these young people are not quite as resilient as we expect. Secondly, we answered every question. I remember asking my parents questions in the old days. I usually received one of the following replies: "You don't need to know about that, son," or "Ask your mother," or most regularly, "Children should be seen and not heard." Remember that? Generation F have never heard those responses. Instead, we've hung on their every word and tried to answer everything they've thrown at us, honestly and directly. And of course, if we can't answer, they can find out the answer anyway. Finally, we know that they're permanently engaged in every aspect of their lives. They know everything that's going on with their friends, the people they compete against in sport, and even those that they're not particularly friendly with. They're on Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat, and as a result, they know where each other are and what they're doing at any time of the day or night. In fact, the only part of their lives where they're not permanently engaged is when they're with us at work. And that's because of the way we're managing them. So we created them, we answered their every question, and although they're permanently engaged in every aspect of their lives, we're not quite cutting it for them. Is it any surprise that they feel lost in the workplaces that we've created? Of course not. So here's 5 simple things, by no means a complete list, but 5 simple things that I think are critical in getting a better relationship with these people, and as a result, getting better outcomes from the role they play in your company. Number 1, they want to know what the company's all about. What are the values? What are the goals? What are the expected behaviours? That stuff's really important to them. So they need to understand that. Number 2, they also need to understand how their role fits into the objectives of the organisation. Remember, these are people who are desperate to contribute. Number 3, they want their role to be meaningful and relevant. Don't ask a millennial with a double degree to make the coffee and collect your dry cleaning. That's a disconnect that they can't handle. Number 4, let them know how the organisation as a whole is performing. They need to know what's going on, so tell them. Tell them about new clients, new products, and even financial information if you can. And number 5, let them know how they're going. In other words, they want feedback and lots of it. So don't wait until the annual performance review. Make sure that any negative feedback is what I call firm, fair, immediate, relevant and manageable. Fair because these people have a huge sense of fairness and they have a bit of a radar around that stuff. Immediate, don't let negative issues hang around, otherwise they think you're carrying a grudge. Relevant, make sure it's specific to their own performance, and manageable, make sure it's something that they can do something about. Don't blame them for stuff that's out of their control. So what's your action this week? I suggest you get out amongst your team and make an extra effort to understand and engage with your millennials. Here's 5 questions when you stroll up to their workstation to get you started. How are you getting on? What are you struggling with? How do you think the company's going? What do you think are the things that the company's struggling with? And if you could change one thing, what would it be? Just use those as conversation starters. You know, there's not a generation in history that hasn't been misunderstood by their parents' generation. But I'd be surprised if you didn't learn something about your business and these fantastic people that we underestimate if you just made a bit of an effort to get out and have a chat to them. Say good morning to them every day. That'll change things. And feel free to ask their opinion from time to time. They love that. Chances are that the return you get will be immediate, because properly engaged, these people have the ability to blow you away. Hey, thanks for watching. Have a great week.